honoring James Baldwin and the enduring power of his words. James Baldwin was one of the leading writers, intellectuals, and activists of the 20th century. Born in New York, Baldwin left the United States at age 24 to live and work in France. He sought to escape the physical and structural violence perpetuated against African Americans and to establish psychological distance to pursue his literary craft. Baldwin returned home periodically to engage in civil rights activism, meet with his publishers, visit family, and teach language and literature. Most of Baldwin's works explore the tensions of race, sexuality, and class in the United States. Precision, clarity, and honesty characterize these writings, many of which focus on his own experiences growing up poor, gay, and black in urban America. Baldwin's prolific writings include essays, novels, plays, articles, poems, and sermons. The exhibition at the National Museum of African American History and Culture, NMAAHC, Making a Way Out of No Way, offers a compelling multimedia display that underscores the themes of activism, creativity, and identity, which frame Baldwin's life. Early life, Big Brother and preacher. James Baldwin was born in Harlem, New York on August 2, 1924 to Emma Burdess Jones. He was reared by his mother and stepfather David Baldwin, whom Baldwin referred to as his father and whom he described as extremely strict. As the oldest of 9 siblings, Baldwin took seriously the responsibility of big brother. He cared for and protected his younger siblings in a household governed by the rigid religious rules of their father. Baldwin's heart connection to Richard Wright's work. The 1940s marked several turning points in Baldwin's life. In 1942 he graduated from DeWitt Clinton High School, and a year later he witnessed the New York race riots and experienced the death of his father. In 1944 he met Richard Wright, whose written work spoke to his heart. Baldwin appreciated Wright's strong opinions about race in America, and he greatly valued their intellectual exchange. In 1948, as a result of Wright's influence, Baldwin left the United States for Paris. When asked about his departure, he said in a 1984 Paris Review interview, "My luck was running out. I was going to go to jail. I was going to kill somebody or be killed." Life as a transatlantic commuter. Baldwin would spend the next 40 years abroad, where he wrote and published most of his work. He lived in France, both in Paris and in the south of France, Switzerland, where he finished his first novel Go Tell It on the Mountain, 1953, and Turkey, where he spent a decade and filmed From Another Place, 1970, in which he describes his pen as his weapon and his role as a witness in the freedom struggle. Referring to himself as a transatlantic commuter, Baldwin returned to the United States frequently to engage with family and negotiate with publishers. He also testified at hearings on civil rights violations and attended the 1963 March on Washington and the 1965 Selma to Montgomery March. Toward the latter part of his life, he taught at the University of Massachusetts and Hampshire College in Amherst. A master of his craft. Most of what we know about Baldwin comes from his prolific writings, interviews, and speeches. Artifacts that belong to James Baldwin also offer insight into his personal experiences and the ways in which he placed them into a national and international context. This abundant evidence of Baldwin's life reveals his keen understanding of the fundamental use of language in its ability to define and dictate human experiences. He believed, in the words of fellow writer Audre Lorde, that the master's tools can never dismantle the master's house. Toni Morrison, one of Baldwin's dear friends, alluded to his use of and discourse on language during her tribute at his funeral, stating that Baldwin made American English honest in the 6,895 pages of his written work.